and welcome to part 5 of our chair yoga class. So in the last class we got up off the chair and we moved around the chair and got things moving a little bit more. So we're going to do the same today. We will start though sitting in the chair and we'll be using the chair to hold onto during the practice. I've got my props here again with me today. I've got my feet up on a little bit of height just to make my hips feel more comfortable. I've got a cushion in behind me for support on my spine, and I also have my belt here. But remember, you can use anything that's available to you. You don't have to have these particular yoga props. You can use folded towels or the belt off your dressing gown. As always, just make sure your chair is nice and sturdy and it's not going to move around on the floor that you're on. So we will begin seated in the chair. So give yourself a moment to get comfortable. If you need to pause the video and go get whatever you require, then do that too. And then come back and meet me here for practice. So we'll begin our practice seated on the chair. Get nice and comfortable. And give yourself a moment. You might even move around a little bit so you can find that comfortable spot. And then resting the hands down onto the legs or into the lap if that feels better. Notice how that changes the position of the shoulder. So one might feel better than the other in your body today. And if it feels good, you can close the eyes or lower the gaze. And just allow yourself to arrive here now at your practice. Give yourself a moment or two here, just sitting. And begin to observe your breath. Noticing how the breath is as you come to sit today. Can you become aware of the quality of your breath? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Fast or slow? And you might even take one hand onto the belly and one hand onto the chest. And notice as you breathe in the rise of the belly and the chest. That gentle expansion as the breath comes into the body and fills up all of the space. And as you breathe out, the softening, the way the chest gently lowers and the belly goes down. So stay with this breath for a few rounds. Just becoming aware of that movement, however subtle in your body. Notice if there's tension in the shoulders. Can you relax them away from the ears? You might even rest the hands back down into the lap if you feel that's creating the tension by having the hands on the chest and the belly. And maybe setting an intention for your practice today. What does your yoga practice mean to you? What is the reason that you come to your chair, to your mat, to whatever space you're in? There doesn't have to be a particular reason, but maybe there is today. Maybe this is your time for yourself. It might be a way for you to become more physically active. Could be your opportunity to create a mindful practice in your day. Or it could be all of these things together and more. So bringing up whatever it is in your mind's eye now. And then when you're ready, if the eyes are closed, you can blink them open. and bring the gaze back around the room. So we're going to start right down at the feet today. So get nice and comfortable in your chair. You might even shift forwards a little bit and let the back come into the chair. So you're not really focusing on the upper body just yet. And then slide your right foot out in front. If it's okay to pick it up, then pick the leg up and make circles with the ankle. So you can always do this with the foot on the ground as well. Either is fine. Go one way and then go the other way. And then bring it back into center. Now see, can you straighten the leg and press out through the heel? So your foot might be more down on the mat or on the ground. You might need to come forwards to do that. Or, oh, my cushion fell out. We won't worry about that. Or you can simply stay here flexing, curling the toes back towards the body. And then gently point. So let's move dynamically like this, flexing and pointing, creating movement in the ankle joint. Notice if there's restriction. With all of these movements, these exercises, or these poses that we're doing, whatever you want to call them, if at any stage during the practice it doesn't feel right in your body, then please make the movement much smaller. If that still doesn't help, then come out of the pose and come to rest. This is your practice, so you're tailoring it to meet your body's needs on this day. Great. The next time the toe points, can you keep it pointed? And maybe you can start to turn the thigh bone a little bit. So it's like you're turning it out and then turning it in. Turn it out and in. Really nice. One more like this. And then when you're ready, slowly lower the foot back down. Let that leg have a little rest. We'll do the other leg. So picking up the left leg or slide it out in front and then start to make circles with the ankles. So we're going in one direction first and then go the other direction. Great. Mobilizing the ankle joint, warming up the ankles. And then bring it back into center and then flex the foot. It's like you're pressing out through the heel. You want the leg to get a little bit longer through your heel and curl the toes back towards you. And now we'll start to point and flex. Point and flex. So good. The next time the leg or the foot points, hold it here. Keep the point on the foot. Stretching the whole front of the leg this time, and then see, can you turn the leg in and out? It's a small movement and it's actually happening right up here in the hip joint. Turning in and turning out. And then when you're ready, take it back into center and let your leg relax. So come forwards on your chair again if you're not already there. If you've got something under your feet, just push it out of the way for a moment and then have the feet nice and wide apart. Taking the awareness to the lower belly and to the area all around the rib cage and start to circle out from the waist. So making sure that you feel sturdy on your chair. You're not going to lose the balance here. Great, go one way and then pause and go the other way. There might be creaking coming from the chair, that's okay. I hope you guys aren't worrying that that's coming from my spine or any part of my body. I promise you it's the chair. And then come back into center, sitting up really tall. So once again, making sure you're sturdy here. Feet are planted into the floor. Holding on to the left side of your chair with your left hand. Now breathing in, reach the right arm up towards the sky. You might stay here. This could feel like enough for today. Or maybe you'll begin to lean very gently to the left. It's almost like you're reaching with the arm more so than leaning the body. So it's a gentle reach of the right arm over the head. And then breathing in, take it back into center and release. Hold onto your chair now with your right hand. Breathe in to reach the left hand up. And you can stay here again. This could feel like plenty for today, or you might start to reach with the left arm. Maybe there's a gentle side bend coming in here too, but not at the risk of coming off your chair. So really find that balance. And then breathe in, coming back into center, still sitting up really tall. We're coming up to stand from here. So taking the hands onto the thighs, ground the feet into the floor and then press your way up. Really nice. So we'll come behind the chair. I'm going to take my cushion now and just pop it onto the chair out of the way and move the chair forwards a little bit. So coming to stand, you can have the hands on the chair for this. If you feel really balanced today, then you might have the hands on the hips. Either is fine. Pick up the toes, spread them out and ground them down into the earth. So we want to feel that real connection between our feet and our earth. We're really working on balance here today. And then softening the knees, start to circle out the hips. So you can always have the hands on the hips if that feels good, or maybe one hand on the chair or both hands on the chair. Going in one direction first, and then pause and go in the other direction. So your circle might be really big, it might be really small, doesn't really matter. Just do whatever feels good. And then as you breathe in, take yourself back up into center, standing up really nice and tall. Holding onto the chair again. The left hand is really anchored onto the chair. You might even move the chair over to the side or step to your right a little bit. And then picking up the right knee. Can you start to lift the leg? Let it float up off the ground. Maybe it'll come in line with the hip. And then slowly lower it back down so the foot comes underneath the hip. So what we want to avoid is leaning over to the side. We're staying really grounded and we're anchoring through the left side. Once again, sliding the toes forward, lift the knee. You can have a gentle point on the toe as you do this, and then bring the leg back down. So it might be helpful to hold onto the hip with your right hand. Breathing in, you can see I'm sliding my foot forwards first and then lifting. And then slowly lowering. Good, let's do two more like this. Slide the foot forwards and lift. Now can you activate your internal corset, drawing inwards with the belly? Good, slowly lower the foot. Last one. The foot comes forwards, the knee bends, foot lifts. Great, and then slowly lower it back down and release. Good, we'll do the other side. I'm moving the chair, but you can just walk to the other side of your chair as well. So from here, left hand can come to the left hip. You're holding onto your chair with your right hand here. And then slowly slide the foot forwards first, bend the knee and allow it to lift. It's not coming any higher than the hip. So we're not bringing the leg right up. It's a very gentle lift. And for some of you, it might not even come to the hip. That's absolutely fine. Do whatever works for you. Breathing in, take it forwards and lift. Great. Exhale, lower, foot comes back down. Move with your breath. Breathing in to lift. Good. Exhale down. Find that balance. Really notice in your right foot when you're lifting the left how much it has to work to keep you balanced here. Good. Let's do one more. Lift and then lower. And then come back to stand. So good. So I'm going to turn my chair around to the side, but you can stay where you are. I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing here from the side view. Now I'm wearing socks and they can be a little bit slippery here. So I'm going to actually take my socks off for this one. And leave them where I can get nice access to them again, especially if it's cold. So taking the feet to about hips width apart, you're holding onto the chair here. So a nice sturdy firm grip on the chair. And then step the left foot back. So we're not stepping it back too far. Just enough so that you can work to get the heel down and straighten the back leg. And then straight away the right knee begins to bend. And we're holding onto the chair. Think about lengthening through the spine and relax the shoulders away from the ears. And you might press out through the heel. And then see, can you come up onto the ball of the foot on the left foot? It's like you're rising up. Good. And then lower the heel back down. Now breathe in, lift the heel, come onto the ball of the left foot, and then exhale, lowering back down. So we don't want to come too low into the hips here. We don't want that right knee to start coming into a lunge as we lift and lower. It's gentle movement. So nice. Let's do one more. Lifting the heel. Good. And then lower it back down. Maybe you can hold here, pressing it through the left leg. And then think about drawing your right hip crease back. So sometimes our body wants to twist over to the side when we're doing this. So think about drawing it back so it's as if both your hips are pointing towards your chair. And then can you lengthen the spine and relax the shoulders away from the ears? Maybe you can switch on the corset muscles, drawing inwards all the way, hugging in around the midline of the body, front, back and sides. And slowly, with control, use your chair to help you step forwards. Really good. Let the hips rock from side to side, neutralizing, noticing if one leg feels different to the other. And then we'll get ready for the second side. So pick up the right foot, slide it back behind you, and then work to a place where you can get the heel down. So it might be further back for some people, or it might be a lot closer for others. So you just find what works for you. And then the left knee bends. So there's a gentle bend in it. We don't want it bent so far that it's in a lunge, that it's coming forwards like this. We don't want the foot coming over, or sorry, the knee coming over the foot. We want it to stay back. So we're really grounded and sturdy here. And then begin to lift the right heel up onto the ball of the foot and lower it back down. Great. Breathing in to lift and breathing out to lower. So you can always make adjustments here. If you feel you're not feeling anything, you might move the foot back a little bit. Lifting and lowering, really working the back of the right leg. If you suffer with leg cramps or restless legs at night, this can be really helpful. Start off slowly and then work your way up. So you might only be doing 1 or 2 if you've got cramping in the calves. That's okay. And the next time the heel lowers, let's hold it here. Press out through the back of the leg. Now actively draw the left hip back so the hips are level and they're both pointing towards the chair. Holding on with your hands. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. Can you activate the belly muscles? The answer might be no, and that's okay. Don't worry if you feel nothing happening. Even just thinking about it will switch them on. And when you're ready, slowly with control, release and we'll come back to stand behind the chair. And once again, rocking the hips from side to side, gentle movement. And then come back into center. So from here, I'm turning the chair around, but you can stay where you are, just so that you can see me. Breathing in, reach the right arm up towards the sky. Breathing out, let the arm come back down. So we'll move like this with the breath, inhaling up, exhaling down, anchoring through the feet and holding onto the chair. Good, let's do one more like this. Breathing in to reach up, breathing out to come down. And the next time the arm comes up, let's hold it up here. Really nice. Reach up with the fingertips. How tall can you make the right side of your body? Can you relax your left shoulder? And then maybe you'll start to reach out over to the left side. A side bend. Try not to let yourself fold forwards. Think about rolling the left ribs under just a little bit. So it's more concentrated on the right side that we're stretching here. Now breathe in, come back into center, exhale, release. Let's do the other side. Inhale, the left arm reaches. Exhale, it lowers. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale to lower. And as I said before, if you can't follow my breath cues, it's absolutely fine. Just know when you're breathing. Try not to hold your breath at any stage. And the next time that the left arm reaches up towards the sky, let's hold it here, extending the fingertips, growing tall on the left side. Relax the right shoulder, and then maybe you'll start to lean over. It's like you're reaching your left arm over your head. You might even peep out underneath your left arm. It's like you're gazing up if the balance will allow. And then breathing in, slowly coming back into center and release. Really nice. Take the feet a little bit wider apart now, and we'll start to circle out the hips. So this is one of my favorite movements, in case you haven't noticed. I love this hip circling. Go one way and then go the other. And then coming back into center. Maybe you can widen the feet a little bit more now. So it might be a zigzag of the feet out to the sides. And if you're in your socks, this can actually be a little bit slippery as well. So that's why I've kept my socks off. I'm just actually going to move these out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing. So from here, the hands are coming onto the chair. If you think about the stacking of the bones, so the feet are underneath the hips. Well, they're a little bit wider now. And then the shoulders are staying over the hips. and the crown of the head is reaching up towards the sky. So if I was to draw a line right down through the crown of my head, it would go right down through my spine and down to the floor. So we want to keep that long line of energy moving through the body. What we don't want when we come into this next pose is to lean forwards. I'm going to show it to you from the front and from the sides. So I'm holding onto my chair here for balance, and I'm grounding down through the feet. So you can even take a little look down at your feet. And then notice the instep. So that's the area on the inner line of the foot between the big toe and the heel. And see, can you find a little lift in it? For a lot of us, that collapses in, and that's totally normal. But even just taking your awareness to it here can be really helpful. Take a long inhale to grow tall. And then as you breathe out, bend the knees. So it's like you're about to sit down on a horse, and then breathe in to come back up. Good. Breathing out to come down and breathing in to come up. So you keep working with your breath. If at any stage you need to come out, if you need to rest, or if you need to stop, then please do. I'm going to show you what it looks like from the side now. Oh, so if you're looking at me from the side, you'll notice my shoulders are staying over the hips. So what I'm not doing is this folding forwards and sticking my bum out. We don't want this happening. We want to stay upright and really, really strong as we squat down. Good, so nice. When you're ready, come all the way back up and take a little rest. You might even roll the shoulders up and down to the ears a few times. And I'm going to add some things on here. So you can stay with the first stage. I'll turn back around this way so you can see me. You can stay with the first stage of just moving up and down into this goddess squat, or you can come with me. If you're feeling balanced, you might start to release one hand or both hands. As you breathe in, the arms reach up overhead. As you breathe out, squat down, the hands come down to the heart center. Breathing in to reach up and breathing out to squat down. So you might be doing this with one hand reaching up and one hand on the chair, and then you change to the other hand. It requires a little bit of coordination. Don't worry if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Both hands can still be on the chair. This is a great movement for the hips and the legs, really strong. Let's do one more, either with or without the hands, it doesn't really matter. And then breathe in to come all the way up. Well done, that was a challenge. So let's zigzag the feet back in towards each other. Give the hips a little rock from side to side, or you can do the hip circles again. And the hip circles are really great for keeping the spine and the pelvis mobile. You can do them at any stage of the day. And then when you're ready, let's come back to sit down onto the chair. So I'm going to put my socks back on. I'm all about keeping warm. So if you had your socks off, they can go on you now if you need anything to keep you warm towards the end of the practice, like a blanket over your lap or a shawl around the shoulders, so you can have that now too. And I've also got my little pads, and I'm going to pop them underneath my feet. We did a lot of work here to open up the hips and to mobilize the hip joints. So I'm going to give you an offering now. You can either come to rest and have a little look, or you might give this a go. It really does just depend on what's happening in the legs, whether or not this pose is accessible to all bodies. So if it's not accessible to you, I'm going to give you something else to do afterwards. So the first offering is to allow the right knee to come out to the side and to place the foot on its side. So you might be staying here, holding and just focusing on how the leg is feeling that little stretch on the inner line of the leg. So if you're not feeling anything there and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, then allow the back to come into the chair and pick up the knee, bringing it in. Maybe you can place your ankle over your other leg. So if there is injury or anything happening in the hip joint, this might not feel good. For a lot of people, the knee will be more in this angle, or you might even sit with the legs crossed. So give them both a go and see what works. This is a slightly different action. Once the legs are crossed, we're stretching the outside here of the hip. But when we bring the heel or the ankle onto the onto the other thigh, we get a little bit deeper into the outside of the hip. So either or any of these three options will work. So you get to decide where you are at this moment in your practice. You might hold here, enjoying the stretch. And you can stay here. It's a great place to stay. You can always come back to the first stage or the second stage with the legs crossed. For some of you, you might like to try folding forwards. Even just a small tilt of the pelvis here can really let you feel what I'm talking about in this pose. So this is a seated pigeon pose. Whenever you're ready to come out, release out really gently. So if you were folded, bring yourself back to seated. And then we'll all cross the legs if you haven't already got there. If you're staying at the first stage, then stay right there. That's absolutely fine too. Sitting here with the legs crossed, holding onto the the right knee with your left hand. Take your right fingertips onto the back of the chair. Inhale to lengthen, and on your exhale, twist and look over the right shoulder. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, twist. Inhale to lengthen and exhale, twist. So you can also be doing this if the foot was in the first stage, you can still be twisting. And then breathing in, come back into center and then release. So if the legs are crossed now, uncross them and we'll do the other side. So the first stage is to turn the left foot so that you're on the blade, the outside of the foot, little toe side of the foot, and you might be holding here. This could feel like enough of a stretch. It might be absolutely fine. And then from there, you'll be coming into the twist when we come to the twisting part. Option number 2, pick up the leg, draw it in towards you, and then cross one leg over the other. So you might be staying here with the legs crossed, focusing on the stretch here on the outside of the left hip, or perhaps you'll place the ankle over the knee. So 3 options. And once again, when you've come into this seated pigeon pose, there might be varying levels of intensity of this. If you're feeling nothing, this is when I suggest you bring in the tilt of the pelvis, excuse me, broadening across the collarbones and starting to fold really gently. So like I said, it might be a tiny little fold here. It might be a lot more for some people. If you're folded, come back up. And if you've got the pigeon legs, we're going to meet the people with the crossed legs with the legs crossed. If you're still here, then you can stay here. You can always give the others a go as well if you like. And no matter where you are, let's sit with the legs crossed for a breath or two. And then holding onto the left knee with the right hand, bring the left hand behind you. So holding onto the back of the chair, breathe in to find length and breathe out to twist. So if you're at the first stage, it's going to look more like this. And then when you're ready, breathing in to come back to center and exhale, release. Placing the feet down onto the floor now or whatever support is there. You can put your blanket around you or across your lap if it's a little bit chilly. And I invite you to soften the gaze or close down the eyes. Just taking these few moments at the end of the practice. Allowing every part of the body to relax. So making any final adjustments that you need here to get comfortable. Noticing any sensations in the physical body, anything that might have come up during practice. Just acknowledging our physical bodies at the end of practice for how wonderful and strong they are. thanking our bodies for bringing us through our practice, for allowing us to make shapes with our bodies, for allowing us to be here. Allow the breath to be slow and easy, no effort. Notice the thoughts as they come and go. Just acknowledge them and know that you don't have to engage with those thoughts right now. This is your time. It's your practice. And now allowing the breath to deepen. Gently start to move your fingers and your toes. If it feels good as you breathe in, you can reach the arms up overhead and take a long stretch through the body. You might start to blink the eyes open here, taking any movement that feels good. And then slowly coming back to sit. I invite you to take the hands together at the heart center, bowing our heads and offering thanks to one another for practicing and to the ancient tradition that is our yoga practice. Thank you all for practicing with me. Namaste.